I am shocked at these 5 mistakes that people often make on their dates. I hope you don't make them. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ekta, your trusty guide to help you navigate through this crazy world of mind and relationships. But today we're going to talk about 5 mistakes you should definitely not make or avoid as much as possible while you are on a date. And trust me, we've got some game-changing insights for you. But before we jump in, let me give you a staggering fact. Do you know, whooping 78% of first dates turn out to be the last dates? Shocked? So am I. Well, dating is as simple, as complex as it may sound. And oftentimes we make imbecilic mistakes while we are in a relationship or while being on a date without our full awareness. And dating is a different ballgame altogether because oftentimes, even in relationships, when you go on a date, we tend to associate our past relationships or the experiences that we had in the past, and we try to just weigh everything or maybe calculate everything or maybe do the math of the current date based on the experiences that we had. So without any further ado, let me just get started. The first and foremost is our classic chatterbox conundrum. That is the never-ending monologue. The first mistake that people often do is they talk too much about themselves, whether it's their relationship goals or about their life or about their goals, about their career, about different areas of their life, or maybe even their past relationship. It's all about themselves. It's all about I, me, and myself. So picture this, that you're on a date and all you hear is a sweet sound of your own self. Weird, right? In fact, a research also suggests that an idle conversation should be more like a tennis game. Back and forth, right? If you find yourself constantly serving, it's time for you to switch the game. Honestly, it's quite natural to share information about yourself, about all the areas that kind of interests you, such that the person knows more about yourself. ताकि उन्हें पता चले कि आप कौन से स्पेस से आ रहे हो, आप कैसे घर से आते हो, आप कैसे आपकी अपब्रिंगिंग क्या रही है, आपकी likes, dislikes क्या रही है. But dominating the conversations with your own stories and your own achievements can actually be a turn off. And it can make your date feel unheard and disengaged. So make sure to ask genuine questions. Show genuine interest in that person's life. Let them talk more. Let them share about their experiences. And also at the same time, just have a fair bit of a balance where they share something about their life where you can kind of segue into your life and share a little bit of information about your life too. That takes me to our point number 2. How often do you check your phone when you're with someone? Did you know 87% of people find constant checking on your phone as a major turn off? It makes the other person feel that they are either boring, they're not interesting, they start doubting their own self, and which is why these kind of first dates turns out to be the last date. So usually जब आप date पे आप constantly phone check करते हो या you're tending to notifications, maybe you have work commitments, maybe you have other personal commitments, but when you constantly check your phone, you actually make the other person feel unappreciated, undervalued. It makes you feel as if you're not fully present and attentive in the conversation. बहुत लोग ये भी कहते हैं कि oh, I have lots of people to tend to, maybe I have this work commitment that I have to fulfill. There are so many people working under me, I have to feed them, I have to look after them. I totally get it. Sometimes when you have a team or maybe when you have demanding jobs or careers, it can be absolutely daunting because you can't literally, balance it out. That's why this work-life balance is so important. But I have a suggestion for people like these. If you think you don't have time for this one day that you are on right now, how do you think you'll be able to add value to such relationship for a longer term? If you don't have the bandwidth to emotionally invest into someone or maybe just give time, energy, space, all of this for that relationship, then just don't go on a date. And even if you want to, make it clear to the other person where you're coming from, what are you expecting from this relation. Maybe just tell them that you're looking for a casual fling, or maybe you're not looking for some kind of an emotional connection here, or maybe a long-term commitment here. You have to ensure that you've communicated enough as to where you're coming from and what are you looking for. Because after all, your date deserves attention, respect, and value. Then comes our number 3, that is discussing controversial topics. One of the research says that never talk about 3 things on your first date: politics, religion, or their personal story or a personal family situations, because everyone will have a different kind of a belief systems towards these different areas. Also, the other thing that they mention is not to talk about money or maybe their financial situation or what they think about money as such, because everyone has a very strong opinion when it comes to religion or when it comes to their certain belief systems towards their money or maybe their financial goals or maybe their family values or maybe it's to do with their political choices. It's important to have meaningful conversations. ऐसा नहीं कि आपको ये सारे टॉपिक्स को completely ignore करना है. It's just that there's right time and place for everything. When you go on a first date, you want to make sure that it's light, where you try to understand this person about how do they function, how do they operate in their life, and not what do they think about, this political party, what do they think about their mother or father or whatever. Especially if you've had a tough childhood, or maybe you did not have a healthy relation with your family or family members, it can actually trigger you in different ways, and it can be more like a downer. So personal subjects too early in a dating process can actually be off-putting, because it's important to gauge your comfort level with this person only after you've gone on a few dates. Usually it's said after 5th date you can talk about these topics and different discussions and talk about deep things in life, because by that time you've built some kind of a comfort with them. So maybe small talks, or maybe starting with light-hearted conversations, can actually make you understand this other person more. You can of course talk about how do they function in their day-to-day life, whether it's to do with their habits, whether it's to do with their workspace. All of this, like basic small talks, are always good. That takes us to our 4th point, that is getting too personal too soon. Oh my god, I can't tell you, but this is something that people literally hate it. For someone like who is an introvert, or maybe someone who doesn't like to share their personal space or their personal story or their personal details, it feels like someone else is invading their space, or maybe they are encroaching their comfort zone, their personal space. It can literally feel so intimidating. So you don't have to talk too much about your personal life. You don't have to put everything on the table. Maybe over the period of time, gradually, as you build that comfort, you can definitely let the other person talk about their personal stories. You can share yours as well, but you don't have to be extremely pushy. You don't have to encroach their comfort zone. You don't have to ask too personal questions such as, oh, how was your equation with your past? Or how did you have sex with your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend? Not required. So oversharing as well as over initiating the conversations or their space can actually be a turn off, and which is why one of the reasons why first dates turns out to be the last. And next up is my personal favorite. That's something that I have been telling everyone to stop doing it irrespective. That is talking about your ex, about your past relationship. Hearing you talking about your ex's story can be daunting for that person, can be literally hard to gulp it down for someone who has feelings for you. Even if the other person that is your date is trying to create some kind of a bond with you, or maybe trying to know you better, it can create awkwardness for them. Rather, learn to focus on the present moment. Try to focus on this person that you are on a date with. So rather show curiosity towards this date of yours rather than delving into intricacies of your past entanglements. So make sure that you don't talk too much about yourself. You don't constantly check your phones or be busy with your devices. Don't talk about controversial things like politics or maybe money and different things that we discussed. Don't get too personal too soon, because knowing someone is more like peeling an onion, and taking off the layers one by one has its own beauty. And last but not the least, not talking about your past experiences in detail, or maybe talking about your ex or bad mouthing your ex. So these are the 5 things that you have to make sure that you stop doing it, ताकि ये 2024 में तो आपको पक्का कोई ना कोई मिल ही जाएगा. So my lovelies, this was the psychology behind 5 mistakes that people often make on their first date, and I'm sure you will not make them because आप बता तो दिया है ना, तो stop doing them. Remember, dating is not a science. It's a delightful dance of connection, compatibility, and comfort. Now, if you found this video useful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you always stay updated of all the amazing things that happens right here. So I'll see you next week. Bye bye.